Good morning, everyone. My name is Maria Zada, and I am the Director of Business Strategy at Nokia. I am going to be your moderator today. I'm delighted to welcome you to today's session on data security and privacy and telecom SaaS adoption. Data security and privacy are top priorities for communication service providers. Historically, challenges of safeguarding customer data and maintaining secure operations have made many providers hesitant to embrace software as a service models that utilize the public cloud. Increasing importance of cost, efficiency, speed, and business agility, overcoming this reluctance is essential. Today, we'll explore how telecoms can effectively address these concerns and fully leverage the benefits of telecom SaaS. We'll dive into key security measures for transitioning to cloud-based SaaS models, tackle common myths and conceptions, and discuss how to demonstrate transparency and compliance with data privacy laws. I'd like to introduce our panelists today who will guide us through this discussion. Vivek Gupta, who is the Director of Telco Industry at Google Cloud, and Philip Blanchar, the Senior Director of SaaS Delivery and Operations at Nokia. Please join me in welcoming our panelists. As a reminder, everyone will be muted during this webinar. You can ask questions during the webinar by adding your comments in the chat, and someone will get back to you. So let's dive into the discussion and uncover how telecoms can navigate these challenges and capitalize on telecom SaaS advantages. Let's start by tackling a very general question about CSP reservations when moving their network functionality into the cloud. Vivek, can you help start this discussion by sharing your thoughts from a cloud provider perspective?
Absolutely, Maria. First of all, thanks for the opportunity, and I look forward to the conversation with Philip on this panel and otherwise. Uh, a very, very pertinent question around, what the concerns are overall for CSPs in terms of moving to cloud. We worked through several telcos, tier one operators, and we see that varying from operator geography, the kind of workloads we are talking about to move to cloud, and even the familiarity of the CSPs with cloud technologies, kind of raising different concerns. And you can classify these concerns around the absolute control over infrastructure. I think informed by the fact that for hundreds of years, original telcos and mobile providers have been handling their entire security themselves. It stems from their concern about performance. Workloads have to make sure that their services do not get affected. So whether it be bandwidth or latency, and those considerations definitely come into mind. Service providers get worried that, oh, if I move this to the cloud, will I lose my latency, performance on certain workloads? So that's definitely a concern. Then we go into, I think, one of the fundamental points of this talk, which is around security and regulatory compliance. The fact that when you move things to cloud, are they as secure as they were before, and are you able to make sure that CSPs who have a lot of PII as well as kind of policy-based or regulatory-based sovereignty and data access requirements, they want to make sure that all of them are being compliant as they move to the cloud, and that's definitely a concern. I started the session with that point, which is also the upskilling of the team. How many personnel and folks inside the CSPs are familiar with cloud technologies, and does that require a change in their team skill set? That's a concern that comes in. And like any broad infrastructure technology that a large CSP would use, they have to be looking at multi-cloud considerations. So which cloud provider to pick and how seamless are their activity across those cloud providers. So these are some of the large concerns that come up when telcos are looking at moving workloads to cloud. Now, this is not something that is happening today. We have been at it for a while, and there has been some very successful moves to the cloud by several CSPs, starting from their IT workloads, BSS, OSS, and now increasingly towards network workloads and some of their network software. I think, which is a case in point for this talk. When it comes to solving for sovereignty requirements and in-country data, we have on-prem and hybrid cloud infrastructure that allows Google distributed cloud or equivalent from some of our esteemed competitors to actually provide cloud services on premise of the customer using the distributed cloud paradigm, yet letting them enjoy all the economies of scale and the tools and the AI practices that come with the cloud shift. And then we also help provide training and upskilling of people to make sure that when a CSP starts embracing the cloud paradigm, the people are actually skilled to actually use that. And then finally, a big draw has been that shifting to cloud native in itself does not have value. You're running the same workload from premise to cloud, but what really pulls and the holy grail that has been really helping us do that is that once you move your workloads to the cloud, you start enjoying the benefits of data, analytics, AI, Gen AI, and all these amazing technological advances that truly help the CSPs run the network in a different way, autonomous ways, making sure that they are actually informing their decisions based on analytics and data. That's exactly how Google runs the network as well. And so that has been a very, very strong North Star pull that has helped CSPs actually overcome some of these objections.
Thank you. How about Philip? Do you have anything to add from a operator perspective, a SaaS operator perspective?
Yeah, indeed. And Vivek's really outlined the key benefits to the public cloud. The ever improving and increasingly complex nature of the underlying infrastructure technologies are essentially impossible to keep up with anymore in an on-premise model. Even the CSPs that were going to make an effort at trying to run the kind of services that Nokia offers, for example, as SaaS services themselves, end up having to become, as Vivek mentioned, experts in the public hyperscaler technologies to take advantage of the configurations and the underlying capabilities of what the hyperscalers offer. In a SaaS model, we are the experts. We become and partner very closely experts in the hyperscaler privacy and security assurance capabilities, as well as the obvious availability assurance technologies that allow for distributed workloads and the resilience built into the multi-tier, multi-data center locations in the regions. But aside from availability assurance, which is critical for telco, the security and privacy capabilities that are organic to the public hyperscalers and that we build into how we deploy our products on the public hyperscalers, integrate it with customer networks securely, and in continuing to use public hyperscaler technologies, even integrating into the on-premise networks, it really is unmatched in a modern deployment. Trying to keep up with that kind of evolving complexity, security, and privacy landscape without using when SaaS is an option is critical these days for telcos to be competitive and to spend their efforts at being competitive in the spaces where they're experts in, not running necessarily commodity network functions, which is what Nokia's building and offering as services.
Thank you, Philip and Vivek, for sharing your thoughts and how both a cloud provider and a SaaS operator can address these concerns. The session's title is Telecom SaaS Security Myths and Misconceptions. Now, what do you see are the main areas of concern CSPs have in the area of security and privacy? We're specifically talking about Telecom SaaS, which uses the public cloud. What security responsibilities would the telecom SaaS provider and the public cloud provider have? Can we start with you, Philip, to share the SaaS provider perspective?
Absolutely. So the customer responsibilities aren't absolved with going with the SaaS model. They still retain absolute responsibility and the sovereignty and control of their data, and the way that the service is configured and used, and in fact how it's operating for them for the satisfaction of their service providers and subscribers. The domains around the hyperscaler technology, the hyperscaler infrastructure and platform services that we get from the public hyperscalers the hyperscalers themselves have responsibility and assurance of the security and privacy domain of the environments that we use, the tools, the capabilities, the configurations. But those tools, configurations, and capabilities have to be managed by us, the SaaS provider, to make sure that we are orchestrating and configuring all of the customer environments in a way that takes best advantage of the hyperscaler technologies. So Google doesn't own how we configure our domains. They can advise, there's best practices, and they build the capabilities that we rely on, but we become then the experts at making sure that there's a sacrosanct barrier around there's a privacy domain that cannot be built in. There's a SOC 2 auditable compliance controls to make sure that we are managing the change to the environment, managing access appropriately, default deny, and all the things that are critical from our running of the services. But the customer then also has a responsibility to manage who has access to there. So they are the ones that grant access, the level of access into the software services that we provide as SaaS services to customers, and they are responsible for the privacy domain of what's offered to us and how we use it. So there's still a responsibility the customer shares. So it's all three of us doing our domain responsibilities that give the overarching assurance collectively that the environment is auditable, that it is secure, robust, and has every level of active and passive threat management in place.
Thank you, Philip. Vivek, can you elaborate further on the CSP